There are some lessons that I learned a while ago. By that I mean half a decade at this point. It's a bit of a looping story, so bear with me while I gather my thoughts. A while ago, some friends and I got together for a little game of ours. You could say it was a bit of a creative writing project. Each of us would make our player characters and mess around in this little world we made. I guess you could say it was an open-ended thing. We were just a group of friends playing on a Discord server and telling stories to one another. There wasn't even a concrete roster or anything. People just came and left when it suited them. In retrospect, you could relate what we were doing to playing D&D. It feels a lot simpler that way if you think about it. Eventually, we split off the group from our original playground onto a more private setting. Keep in mind, all of this is digital, partly because it was too hard to get a handful of people in the same place at the same time. It made it easier to join in when fun events happened. Anyways, as we moved on to the more private setting, a few more people joined our group. The first wave of new members came, bringing new life to our game, but with new members came a new challenge. At first, I thought the more the merrier. The naive me of the past thought that there would be more friends to share our game with. However, the me of the past didn't take one simple thing into account. Everyone has their own stories to tell. Stories which reach out and touch upon the lives of others, where not all interactions end on a positive note. There was a fight between two of the members. It turned out that the two had problems with each other. Somehow, with the help of friends that I trusted, we managed to get things to settle down. However, this came at the cost of the campaign that we had spent so long on. In the end, a majority of us decided to salvage what we could from our campaign and start again, trying to move past the tension which had been seeded by the conflict. Although, no matter how hard we tried, things weren't the same. We had tried to keep the best parts of our old campaign in our redo, in an attempt to keep things fresh. But no matter what we did, we couldn't shake the awkward atmosphere. It wasn't long before we found ourselves repeating the conflict. The group had been split, and my friend, who I considered to be the leader of the group, had had enough. He had so much raw charisma that he ended up taking half the group with him, though I couldn't blame them for leaving. All of us have had enough of the problems and the person at its source. And so, desperate to salvage even a fraction of this game of ours, I split the group in two. It was greedy of me. We had spent 2 years together on this campaign, and I didn't want to throw it away. Now, despite splitting the server, I was trying to mediate between the two split halves with the help of a friend and their advice. However, trying to keep both sides happy was exhausting, and it clearly didn't save our game. Everything had gotten stagnant from the repeats and the atmosphere. Our group had been split twice by this point. With great effort, we managed to reunite the two sides, but not even 2 months later, the group had been split a third time. Honestly, I couldn't blame my friends for quitting at this point. Even I had gotten burnt out from playing. It was time for me to place this game on the shelf, letting the campaign die so that the friendships could live on. After shelving our game, the world moved on, and somewhere along the line, so did I. I remember how I used to be so haunted by my questions. Questions which kept me up at night. Questions such as, what if I never invited that person? What if I had split the server permanently? What if I hadn't tried to keep both sides happy? These questions were poison, and yet I couldn't stop thinking about them. Trying to keep everyone happy, trying to search for a perfect solution. This is what had me burnt out from our game. As time passed by, the advice from my friends started to sink in. Maybe it was because of a new perspective. Maybe it just took this long for me to understand it. The two things that I learned from it were that, first, it's not healthy to worry about what ifs. Agonizing over things which I have no way of knowing will only drive me crazy. It's better to keep moving forward. You can't change the past, but you can let it guide the future. Second of all, you can't always make everyone happy. Sometimes people just refuse to change their minds. It's better to follow my own priorities, instead of creating an illusion of peace. We can only keep moving forward, otherwise we'll be left behind. In the end, for me, these are just lessons to live by.